Good morning all, hope you're doing alright. So this is the dollar CAD we're going to start with. So you can see how it's in free fall. So let's zoom out perhaps and just do this a little bit. Now there's quite a few things to say about this. Is that it agrees with the sell at the high level. You know, we're falling. They've gone long and so price is falling. So that's the dynamic and the static, they're in agreement, so price should fall. Now if you look at the structure, we had like a left shoulder, big chunky head, and a right shoulder, and so that was a potential short setup there. And furthermore, we can see how we've respected it on that wick, more or less, so that would have been a good short there. We can add to that confluence by looking at the currency strength meter, and we can see how the CAD is strongest. The dollar has lost its top spot. Now there was a big battle between the dollar and the CAD for a good while on a monthly basis. Now because it's lost its top spot, that's a technically good short indication for dollar CAD, right? So that's a great technical indication for a short. And we've got the technical sentiment as well with the them guys going long. However, how much further they can go long before they reverse, probably not that much further. Maybe I'm sinking down to MS1 at 12494. So we'll have to remember that when I do tomorrow's video. We might come into that as a support, and we've got some support here as well, some demand, quite healthy demand here. So yeah, we did rally a lot, so that could come into play, which is more or less 30 pips below MS1. So we might see a breach and then a test of that and a bounce. So if you took my advice 2 weeks ago about this, you would have done quite well. I had a little micro lot. It's probably too small size really, but I was very unsure, and in hindsight I wish I'd increased the size. But you've got to respect your risk parameters and how much you're willing to risk for your account size. I could have had it larger, but I was just unsure, and I think a lot of people were unsure because of this QT and Russia Ukraine, and it's caught people off guard and stuff. And no doubt a lot of people have lost a lot of money on some yen crosses as well, which we'll cover shortly. So we'll look at the yen after this. So this would have been a good short. It might not be too late now, however we are close to the stop loss cluster below 12545, and we had a few signals to say to short this as well in the liquidity system. Had you have kept onto those, you would have done quite well. Quite nice profits there. So I am probably going to hold because my entry is so high up, I can afford to let this run a little bit, but it's just, it was a micro lot, so it's quite frustrating. So maybe grab that, and I think this is going to possibly hold this combination there, MS1 and that demand. Look at dollar yen. And the dollar yen is absolutely bonkers, in case you haven't seen it. We've been a buy since January, so I'd have to zoom out. And we've tried to breach the 50% multiple times, but the retail guys were adamant on shorting it. And they were so strongly bearish, we never did really breach the 50%. And so if we look at price there, and then look at price here, we've rallied 1,700 pips. From them wanting to short it back in January. No, they couldn't possibly have held on to that drawdown all that time. No one really could, I think. Even with a micro lot, you would have blown your account. You would have got a margin call on a standard account size. A £10,000 account, you would probably got a margin call if you used like a normal size. Yeah, that would have blown your account. So what I think's happening is that new bears are entering, and that's just adding to that bias. So every time it spikes down, they enter. So we saw the bears increase here, there, and we saw another increase of the bears here, and now another one there. So you can see how they're adding to that bearish bias there. So it's quite scary. So the one above is at 131.42, the one below is at 129.50. We'll look at some yen crosses. I can show you some dollar crosses, but they're not really that making much sense. They're not agreeing. Price action isn't really agreeing with the sentiment so much. So look at pound yen, look at euro yen, and I'll show you the euro USD as well. So the pound yen, I think that's going to be very, very likely by the looks of it. 164.58. Yeah, we're so close. One below is at 162.80. 162.85, and it's quite tricky, isn't it, that sentiment? We've been a buy for ages, but it's not crossing 50%, so we've got monthly pivot support. Maybe zoom out. There we had the buy signal there at 152. Oh, wow. Yeah, so this big fall as well, it's very, very hard to trade. That's just a big chop fest, isn't it? You know, had you tried to capture that, you would have done pretty well. But if you're being a bit slack, that's a big, big loss. You know, you would have still done it alright there, but it's a bit of a sort of a gut punch there. So it's pretty horrendous, isn't it? I think we're going to get that stop loss cluster above, and eventually it will have to get the liquidity above, and then it'll become a sell. So pretty horrible. I wouldn't want to be trading this pair. It's horrible. Let's look at EJ. Probably equally horrible, but not so bad. It's still choppy, but so we're breaking that range. Okay, so we're our buy, and they shorted it here at 126-ish, 127-ish, at 1,360 pips. So there's your monthly pivot support, ML1 at 140.07. And I was saying a couple of weeks ago this was going to be a buy, and you know, we certainly did come up. Just got to look at your sentiment. One above is 141, one below is 139.35. Now I think this might be likely because it's so huge. I think this is going to be likely. It's just too large, and it's not that far away for them just to push price. It's 100 pips lower. So potentially up there and then down. Grab that. Up we come. So loads of stops here. We can see that. It's quite scary. And look at EU, and I'll wrap up the video. EU is interesting because we're now a buy. Oh, we were a buy. I just looked at the charts just before making this video, and we were 49.51. So we're teetering 50-50. Now, yeah, I mean, fairly strong here. We're seeing like almost like a V, almost like a V. Resistance overhead, as you can see from that spike. One above is at 107.67. One below is at 107. Monthly pivot, so technically strong. However, the sentiment is very sideways, and we're chopping. I'd probably favour more upside because the risk, and you know, we look at the spreadsheet, we know that we're risk on, and the retail guys are short in indices. Because of that, the dollar should weaken against the euro, and we have to remember the euro COT data as well. We had the buy signal on the net non-coms, so I'd kind of favour more upside, but ideally I'd want this to tick down a little bit before I entered. If I was to enter, it'd probably be a stop around NP of a very small size, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. It's possibly gonna, so we've got like a diagonal resistance there, so it's almost like exactly dead on. So we might come up and get that stop loss cluster, and we might come down and get that one, but I think we're going to be alright to buy dips above NP. And so I will wrap up now. So maybe you might have caught the dollar CAD, I'm not sure, but if you did, you've done quite well. I can show you gold maybe, and so we've got quite a strong descending channel, and so I think because of that channel we'd probably come down here, 1847. We're only $5 away, and we are a sell at the high level as well. So hopefully the videos are useful. Don't forget to use the promo code to get the order book and the indicators. They are absolutely amazing, and I wish you a good day. And remember, don't use the sentiment alone. You have to use the technical with it as well. It's like anything, you know, you get more power by using confluence. So the dollar CAD was a good example, having technical, fundamental, and sentiment as well. So and also perhaps the more common the pairs, the more accuracy you'll get because it's based on trading volume. So the AJ might be less reliable than say gold or the Euro USD, for example. Also maybe pound yen as well. It's a popular pair, but it's not that heavily traded. So we have to remember accuracy is probably going to be a bit stronger on your more commonly traded pairs as well. And don't forget the FXSI aggregates, IG, FX Blue, Oanda, Dukas Copy, My FX Book, SSI, and we get an average from those guys. So it's very, very powerful. So it's definitely worth having a look at the indicators. It's a 7-day free trial. If you don't like it afterwards, you just don't renew and you delete the indicators. But I think you'll find them quite useful, especially as you can see where to target. And what you want to do is see the size after the liquidity has been taken. If it increases, they move their stops lower, and that makes it more of an attractive target. If it decreases, they've hunted stops, and then we can bounce. So that's why you want to be looking at stop loss clusters. The one above is ludicrous. It's so far away there, so it's not really worth showing you that. But we know where to target below. So hopefully it helps, and have a good day. I'll speak to you tomorrow.